Well, I guess that's a whole other conversation I'm about to go into. I'll leave that up. I'll leave that out there in the ethers. Okay? So all of these names that I'm telling you about, Marilyn Monroe, reason why they killed her. Okay? She was about to speak on extraterrestrial activity and what she knew based off of the Attorney General. Vladimir Putin. All these people know about extraterrestrials, knew about extraterrestrials, or they're a part of the extraterrestrial conversation, or they're extraterrestrials themselves. You know what I'm saying? Or were extraterrestrials themselves. I know that might sound crazy, but one day, okay? So, if somebody like if you go look up Uri Geller, Urigeller, go look him up, okay? So, with one click of a button, I'm gonna read you what they said. I got it right here. With one click of a button, we can stop the traffic on the Golden State Bridge in San Francisco, and we can knock out radar systems. We can do anything with cyber today. Let me read that one more time. With one click of a button, we can stop the traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and we can knock out radar systems. We can do anything with cyber today. You can imagine what extraterrestrials can do. That wasn't me adding that on. He literally said, you can imagine what extraterrestrials can do. He the one who said that even if there was a situation where Putin would try to nuke the U.S., he said the extraterrestrials could or even would stop him. Now, who else told you that it was possible? Why would I say that? I'm the one who said that. Like I said, it's possible that if they try, that they'll intervene, or it's because they have intervened before on attempts of these people. They ain't like they're gonna tell you, hey y'all, we got to go to nuclear war. Them folks have tried before, and they realized that they shit just kept getting shut down. So that's a problem, and that's why people like Trump stepped in. Okay, remember we still talking about World War I, World War II, World War III. Trump introduced Space Command. If y'all remember, if anybody been paying attention, it was Trump who came in with Space Command or Spacecom, right? And they were saying it's all about space. Now, what does that mean? For someone who just listens, it sounds like, oh, just a casual conversation. No, all of this is an extraterrestrial conversation. Everything that's happening on the planet Earth is a result of an extraterrestrial conversation. I'm sorry. You may get tired of hearing it, but eventually they're going to make sure that it's put out there. People are fighting to put this information out for you right now. People like Stephen Greer, even though he's on one side of it, he ain't gonna go too much deeper into the conversation of the melanin dominant presence. But, you know, I guess that's just, they can only go but so far. But they're putting out the information and they're letting you know close encounters are possible. You don't need the government. You can reach out to these people and these beings. So it will only be real to you when you stop putting it in a conspiracy blanket. Because that's what they want to do with this conversation. But the way that they presented it to the public, when Trump was presented with that flag, you know what I'm saying, with the Space Command, they presented it that, oh, it's nothing. We just want to protect our satellites. You know what I'm saying? We want to make sure that we got a safe country from other countries. No, go back and watch, if you haven't already, when I told you to about a year and a half ago, the Above Majestic documentary. Lock it in, write it down. Above Majestic. Now, what was Majestic? Majestic 12. Remember the Majestic 12? The ones who were claiming to have the information on the UFOs. One of them got on this app and said that they were a part of it, right? To be determined. And said that they had, you know what I'm saying, all these files and things like that and experiences. Majestic 12. Some people say they don't actually exist. Some people say, yes, the fuck they do. The only thing is, when you're having that conversation, that's what's going to happen. They got people who will literally step out and say, oh, it's all a hoax, because that's what they paid to do. All right? But when you say above Majestic, you're talking about declassification that happens on a much higher level than just these 12 people who came together and said, you know, we're gonna put together and talk about UFOs, which they had. How Trump, his whole family, John G. Trump, all of them, they're involved with the extraterrestrial conversation as well as the extraterrestrial technological advancement conversation. Okay, another name I'm gonna give you, Marco Rubio, Marco Rubio. Okay, look up Marco Rubio and type in UFO. You might have to type UFOs next to these names so you can get the full development stories, because they, you know, I'm not trying to show you his life story and what he ate for dinner. All right, they said that he spoke out and told the U.S. right to take the situation serious instead of trying to have this whole, you know what I'm saying, resorted to this stigmatization of UFOs. All together, speak about it, have a space or a place where these things can be talked about or spoken about, and deal with them for real, right? And that's where you get this whole conversation around the unidentified aerial phenomena, the task force they set up, and everything that was rolling out. So when they asked Trump in 2020 why the Department of Defense or the DOD would bother even putting together a UFO task force, what they do that for? And were they trying to drop a hint or wink an eye at the public or put them on notice about the UFOs? And he was just like, I heard that, whoop the whoop, I look into it, I'm gonna take a strong look at it, right? But he still ended up explaining that whether the threat was domestic, whether it was foreign, terrestrial, or extraterrestrial, or whether it was of this world or not of this world, that the military, particularly the U.S. military, would be and should be prepared to defend against that threat. All right. So there was something that was said by the Israel's defense military, or excuse me, Israel's defense IDM, Israel's defense ministry.
When Trump spoke about when he spoke about the invisible enemy, if you remember, and y'all let me know how this sound is picking up. But when he spoke about the invisible enemy, he was referring to the fluke and the hoax that they were pushing out surrounding that pandemic program. He was saying we're dealing with an invisible enemy because he couldn't have been speaking in terms of just a virus, if you really think about it, because a virus isn't invisible. If it's something that could be put up under a microscope, bacteria, whatever, there's some way to see it. But this enemy that he was speaking about was the dark side. And that dark side, when people say dark side, it was a room. Actually, I spoke about this more in my book, Rehab, that's coming soon. There was a room that I was in with these Masons. People came to me. One of the sisters said she wanted me to speak in the room. They were talking about Masonry and, the different lodges and who established what. And somebody brought up Malachi. So I came in that night to speak. And I said, well, as travelers or as Masons, all of us know this. Everyone should know this, but they don't want to admit it. But I'll say it. We all pledged allegiance to the dark side. And it made everybody uncomfortable, especially the Masons. Like, no, we did it yet. But the truth is, yes, we did. But they weren't activated in their own cautiousness. And I'm saying it like that on purpose because when you're being cautious, you really have to listen to see what is this brother saying. Because a true traveler or a Mason or somebody who walked that path of light would understand, even though that path of light was in darkness, they would still understand that a wise person hears one word or a wise man hears one word and understands two. So when I say we pledge allegiance to the dark side, that's the truth. Because if we look on the black and white chessboard floors, or what I call the cosmic floors of the Masons, you see a black tile and you see a white tile, which means what? There's a dark tile and there's a bright tile. So if we're pledging to, literally based off of our OB or our obligation, when we say I will always hail, H-E-L-E, all right, from the word helan, which I broke down to people. They didn't even know that. Most Masons do not know that word literally comes from a word, helan, old Anglo-Saxon word that meant to cover something up or to hide something or to keep it in the darkness. Literally, you can go look that up, H-E-L-E. If I say I hail, I will always hail, always conceal, never reveal. All right, the hidden mysteries of Freemasonry to the rest of this world. If this is what I'm saying in my actual OB or obligation, okay, well, then what am I saying? I will never reveal, meaning I will never go out into the light or bring it out into the light, which is actually a violation. Masons don't understand that the obligation that we were told to take or the oath that we were told to take was actually in violation of the cosmic order, because there is no such thing as always concealing. There is no such thing as always being in darkness. That's not even how the universe worked. That's not how the negative and positive polarities work. That's not how the active potential that we have in our bodies with the negative and positive polarities work. That's not how the moon and the sun work with the lesser light and the greater light. We have a day, we have a night. There's no such thing as you will always be in darkness or you will always conceal. But we took that oath, which was in vanity, just like I read for you when we read the Quran, which we will finish. You understand? So I explained that we took an oath to the dark side, and they thought I was saying dark as in evil. Dark doesn't always mean evil. It can, but dark also means unknown. Dark also can mean confusion. Dark could mean the gravity of something, like this is a very dark day. You know what I'm saying? It could mean the weight of something or the gravity or how immense something is and how strong something feels. This is dark. I mean, you got a real dark energy around you. You understand? But people assume that it means evil, so they thought that I was saying that Masons pledge allegiance to the evil side, which means that, again, I tell people you're either safeguarders, which is one thing, or you're Bogarders, or Boy Scout Masons, as I call them, because really just the Boy Scouts are the ones who just want to be a part of something. You have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea why you're a part of this. You understand? So the bottom line is, when he was saying invisible enemy, he was referring to the dark side. And that dark side is actually called the shadow government. And that shadow government makes moves. You understand, that people don't know anything about. And they make moves on their own for year periods, which they use your electricity or your election, all right, which your election year is coming up. You're coming up on another one. Okay, they use your voltage, as I explained to you, your voltage and your energy, and they get electrified off of you. So while people were thinking that it was all about COVID, think about this. That was only almost 4 years ago that this supposed world-ending pandemic took place. All right, but the only thing that really ended was your world. It wasn't the planet. It wasn't life on Earth. It was the world that you were living and existing in before they rolled out that program. Okay, so you may not have been paying attention, especially if you've been put on autopilot, as I explained, people had been put on. But this dark side of the shadow government rolled out a whole new world. And that world was to buy more time for themselves, or another window, the same way Bill Gates came out with the Windows computer. They were buying more time for themselves. So he was explaining to people, don't panic, don't go to pan. It was Trump that said, he said, don't panic. Right? He said, this is their new hoax. If you remember, they might deny it now, especially in the heat of this climate, where it's about to come out where he has to run again, and he has to remarket himself, rebrand, and put out more information that he's going to run again. Okay, but if you remember, if you were paying attention, if not, I was paying attention for you. He said this is their new hoax. Right? But he's the president. Why would he say that? Why would he's a part of his whole family, as I referred to when I speak about the Above Majestic film that I told y'all to watch. His whole family is tied into a whole different side of this conversation with Nikola Tesla and the rest of these people who had deeper hands in the extraterrestrial conversation and all of that, which would explain to you why it was Trump who said, yo, you got 180 days, 180. All right? You have 180 days to put out every piece of information that you have, okay, under the Freedom of Information Act, about extraterrestrials, all right, UFOs, UAPs, and the likes. And they did. Okay? So what was he saying, invisible enemy? He's talking about the ones you don't even know exist. The shadow government that you don't even, when you're saying they, like the Bilderbergers, all the Rothschilds, and the rest of the people, when you're saying them, that's the Illuminati you think you're talking about. You think you're talking about them. That's not the Illuminati. Those are like buffer zones for what you're actually dealing with. Okay, Queen Elizabeth, all these people, they're buffer zones, even though they're tied into the original ones, okay, because that's how the buffer would work. They're not the Illuminati. The Illuminati doesn't operate in light. The Illuminati operates in darkness. What am I saying? Meaning the Illuminati operates in secrecy. You wouldn't even know who they were. So if you think you're saying Rothschild is the Illuminati, you're wrong. If you think Beyonce and Jay-Z is the Illuminati, you're wrong. That that you put in there, that article that says the Illuminati, meaning the Luciferians, the Lucifers of your world, you don't know who they are. Those are the light beings that operate in darkness, that you just don't know who those people are. And they control everything. You understand? The rest of these people are buffers. So now, if you look at it, let's say if somebody bench presses 350 versus the person who bench press 100, that's a lot. But for the motherfucker who bench press 1,000, 350 ain't shit. With that same applied to Beyonce and Jay-Z and the rest of these people, Ye and the rest of them, Rihanna, all the ones who you will see as a and then the Oprahs and all these people, the ones who they bench press 350. But the ones who really don't ones, they 1,000 or better. Enemy, because the virus isn't invisible. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's invisible. You know what I'm saying? Just because you don't have it doesn't mean it's unobtainable. That's what he was being. I saw you say it a couple times. I wanted to address it, that the invisible enemy he was referring to was the shadow government, that you can find more information about in the book, The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow. And you can also find it in Leviathan 666. Leviathan 666. More information on the shadow government specifically. And we could read that one day because I have that actual book. All right. Just wanted to be clear on that.
There was a brother named or person named Haim Ashid. And I'm going to read to you what he said. He said, the unidentified flying objects have asked not to publish that they are here. Humanity is not ready yet. Now, this is not somebody who has no notoriety, no credibility. This is someone who has surpassed the ranks, went up there in the ranks, accepted widely abroad as being a credible person, okay? As a matter of fact, you should look into Haim Eshed, Haimeshed, Haim Eshed. You should look into him, okay? So Eshed was saying, right, that there was cooperation agreements, right, that they said it had been signed between the different races of beings. And they were saying it was including, they said they had an underground base in the depths of Mars, okay, where there was an American astronaut and extraterrestrial presence or representatives who were there. So go look those things up. And they said that there's an agreement between the U.S. and the extraterrestrial beings, and that the contract that was signed, they had signed a contract to do experiments here. This is something else that I told people about a while ago. I said that when they came down and exchanged certain pieces of information, the extraterrestrial Greys, who were called the Greys, but again, there's different races of those beings, Rumardians, Meldekians, depending on where they came from, Pleiadians, Zeta Reticulans, depending on where they're coming from, what star constellation. But even still, people don't really be knowing at all who they are. I don't even be knowing half of the time who these beings are just by looking at them, the same way you can't just look at a white person and say, you're from Canada, or you're from, you know what I'm saying, New York. These people are from all over the motherfucking place. So these beings came down and made deals. And remember the deals that I told, I think I spoke about it in my book, Is the Computer God? If I'm not mistaken, if you got that book.
Thanks.
Right? I think I spoke about it in that book. When they came down, they made these deals with these people, and they said that they will allow for the extraterrestrial beings to experiment on human beings. And this happened a long time ago, and they came down and did more treaties recently within the last few decades, right? But they were doing this a long time ago. And these were the beings who they show you in the movie Jupiter Ascending, who have the ability to cause you to fall into a sleep paralysis and extract the serum release that you have in your body, the adrenaline release that you have in your body from energy from you being afraid when you get into that paralyzed state. And that's when people say, I felt like I was being choked, or I feel like I was being probed, or something was being stuck up inside me. Yes, you didn't feel like there was something being stuck up inside you. There was something. I don't mean to scare anybody. I'm telling you, there was something that was being stuck up inside of you. And what they do is they suction that energy. This is where you get movies like Monster Inc. I've said it 1,000 times. Monster Inc. is showing you a direct representation of representation of extraterrestrial, interdimensionally traveling beings who have been given permission and have the ability to come in and experiment on. Those are real people, beings, extraterrestrial, demonic entities, whatever you want to call them. And they have technology, not just biological advancement, but they have technological advancement that allows for them to do this. And that's why when they show you in the movie Monster Inc., they can walk through them doors, do what they came to do, and walk right out. That's how this dimension works. That as long as you understand the science of photons and electromagnetism and space and time, you can travel through these locations as a Stargate will operate and walk through one door to another. Literally walk from one door to another and back out of it. And that means that you both time travel because of the coordinates being the locations in the universe, meaning that if you're time traveling, all you're doing is walking through different places in the realm. You're not going anywhere that doesn't already exist. And it may seem that you're walking to a different time zone for places that occur where you say, well, this has happened already. And some of you do that already with deja vu. Okay, you don't need a Stargate, some of you. And I would tell you, do your best to write down or pay attention to or note the dates and the times where you have those deja vus, especially as we continue to speed up and your deja vus are going to be recurring. Some of you already experiencing it, where you're having 3, 4, or 5 times. Say this happened 5 times already. Right, because again, some of your consciousness is speeding up with the realm. And you're starting to realize more and more what it means to be omnipresent. All right. And that's a whole different conversation, but it just means that you are centered, but you have these legs, if you want to use that, or branches that go out in every direction or all ways that account for your existence universally. All right. And if you could really wrap your mind around infinity, you will realize you can't wrap your mind around infinity. Your mind is infinity.
Facts.
Okay. There's no wrapping around that. And that's the timeless understanding that they're trying to teach you with God that they really can't teach you with God. You have to be it and understand it and accept it. And it's a a certain level of unknowing that goes with knowing that allows for you to make the transition belief to truth. Because when you accept that which you don't know, doing my best to explain to you that with the Monster Inc. movie, they were showing you what these extraterrestrial people were given permission to do. And they signed those contracts. Well, how can they give extraterrestrials permission to do? Well, these are the same people who shot down the people in Roswell, okay? Those brothers who came through here in Roswell, they shot them down, all right? These are the same people who took what was the other situation? It was one that was called the second Roswell. I can't remember it offhand. I'll tell you to write it down then. Write down the second Roswell. All right. There was another incident that happened shortly after Roswell. I think it was in 1948. Aztec. I can't remember the whole. I can't remember the whole breakdown. But write down the second Roswell, and then it will lead you to that where there were some other ones who were shot down, and they said that the military came in and took all of the equipment, and this was under the project called Project Red Light. Okay, now I don't know if you'll find Project Red Light on Google, but if you go through DuckDuckGo and you type in Project Red Light and you put Dreamland with it, you may be able to find it, but you may not, because that's one of those things is really it's highly classified, because you're talking about a lot of the technology that wound up coming out afterwards, after 1947, all right, was the result of the things that they found in some of these vehicles, the sciences that they uncovered from how those things worked. Now, some of those things they couldn't replicate. They didn't know how to replicate them. So they held on to them in the event that one day they could figure out what they meant or how they could use them, like some of these biometric devices that required 12 fingers to open them. They couldn't open those things, so they didn't really know what those things were. But there were other devices that were in the vehicles, in the ships, or in the hands of the extraterrestrial who was wandering at one point after they crashed, that they took, and they were able to get the information from that. And it's a reason why you have advancements in technology that are way beyond what they're going to ever tell you right now. All right. But in the next 1,000 or 2,000 years, those things are going to roll out and people are going to realize how much God these people are. But even then, that's limited technology. What the most advanced technology you can think of here, from invisible technology and all of that, is still limited. The technology that you're really talking about comes to the point where you become integrated with it, which is why it's not evil to have technology, but when you put it in nefarious people's hands who are going to use it to cause energetic slavery on a whole different level, higher than what it is now, because it's happening now, right? That is a concern of interdimensional people or intergalactic people, okay? So you go back and watch that Monster Inc. movie again. Just watch it again. Even if you just want to look at it, you know what I'm saying, briefly, but I'm telling you, go look at it again, because it was the fear that they were siphoning. All right. And when you raise those frequencies, it would shut them down. I was helping people out. They say, yo, I'm dealing with this demon. And when I hear somebody say demon, I hear interdimensional person or interdimensional being or extraterrestrial that they just don't know is an extraterrestrial. I don't hear spirit. Okay. It's another thing that happens, that you break that spell. If that's a demon and you can see it and it's there in your presence, then that means there's light reflecting off of it. And based off of how this realm works, they're right there. You may not be able to touch them based off of however their molecular structure is set up then, but you can see them and they're existing within your observable universe, okay? And that makes them every way, shape, form, or fashion real and not just some spirit or fragment of your mind, okay? So when somebody was telling me on this app, they say, yo, I'm having this demon. They keep popping up in my realm. I see them physically, or they keep bothering me. I'm scared to go to sleep. I asked them one question that started off them changing their life, and I started to see them change their life. I had one question. I said, yo, what's your favorite song? And she started laughing. And I said, well, there we go. And she said, what's going on? I said, well, you started laughing. I said, now this is what I want you to do. I said, I'm going to ask you again, what's your favorite song? She laughed again. I think she wanted to laugh. I think we did it like 5 times. I got her to laugh before I really broke down to her what I was doing. I said, when you laugh, remember the Monster Inc. movie, okay? When the children would laugh or the girl laughed and they finally figured out that was powerful enough to shut down a machine or the thing that they put in place that was causing more and more fear. When you laugh, there's a certain type of enlightenment that comes with laughter. You ever realize some shit and just start laughing, be like, what? Man, hell no. And just start laughing because it's funny. The same reason why comedy sells at the way that it does sell and it brightens up your day at the way that it brightens up your day is because it opens your eyes to certain truths that you may or may not have been focused on but you're aware of them consciously, which is why when certain people like Kevin Hart are so successful, because he can say, I can't make this up. And it puts you in the mind of this nigga telling me the truth. Oh, damn, this is a true story. Most of that shit be made up, but he's like, I can't make this up. You know what I'm saying? He'll say some crazy off the wall shit, and then you can relate it to the true factor, or simply people will tell you certain things that you can already relate to. You never really spoke on it, or you never really went into it. And because of their boldness to speak on it, it's almost hilarious. You feel me? Like, damn, you know what? That is true. People like Cat Williams do a good job of doing that. And those types of people, those are very intelligent people, because there's a certain level of truth that you have to understand before you can be a comedian on that level. All right? Comedy has an element of truth to it. So when these children would laugh in the movie, it would shut down their vehicles or the machines that they had going. And this was something that they started to realize was a more powerful, more potent energy than fear. Okay? So what I'm saying to you versus however the movie is presenting it is that even if you are in fear, do your best to laugh and relieve the frequencies of fear that overcome you, because a lot of people in here, you have experienced sleep paralysis. You don't know all of what it is. I can answer certain questions or we could do a whole room on it. However, the basis of the simplest piece that I'm giving you right now is that there really is nothing to fear. There's a lot to know. Okay? Now, you can choose to continue to fear, but that just comes when there's an unknown. All right? And that's just the simplest way to put that. So the war that's taking place now is happening on multiple fronts, as you can tell. So the thing that I'm explaining to you there is that you have somebody who's respected in the rank about they had a contract with the extraterrestrial people to do experiments here on the planet Earth. So now, when I tell you to go look up Hayem Eshed, now you're not just hearing phase one, you're hearing it straight from the IDM, all right? The Israel Defense Ministry. Do you get why I do it like that? So everything I'm telling y'all, these people are coming out recently saying these things. So now you can go look at it and say, damn, this nigga Phase, we don't know how he knew all these things, but he was on point. And that lets you see that when I tell you other things, don't just believe me, but go look up what I'm saying, okay? All right? So Eshed was also saying President Donald Trump is aware of let me see if I still got the link. He was saying that he was aware of extraterrestrials. He said that he knew that they was on the planet Earth, and that there's a revelation that's coming, or revealing or opening or disclosure that was supposed to be coming, all right? But they didn't want to do it so soon. The same reason why Trump was saying with the corona shit, they didn't want people to panic, okay? They even was asking people from the Pentagon, you know what I'm saying, yo, is this true what the shit is saying? And they wouldn't say nothing. They would say no comment, or they would decline to comment. They wouldn't say anything about what was being spoken of, okay? So now what I'm breaking forth with the Trump situation is that he was the one who told y'all that space is a place for war. All right? So not only is space a place for war, they're at war in space right now. All right? They're fighting right now, and they know that everything that they're doing on planet Earth is being watched. Everything that they're doing from the solar system is being watched. And this is something that makes them uncomfortable. So people like Trump, no matter how much of a saint people try to present him to be, he gonna do what he's doing. Even as he's not president, he's still looking toward it. He's trying to have it be that no matter what happened, you looking at an Independence Day movie ending where you can win, human beings can win against God. Okay? Does it make sense now? Like, so now when I say God, you should envision different types of extraterrestrial people. You shouldn't think of some spirit, okay? Because that spirit, that source, anybody can tap into that. It's something that everybody can use, all right? I'm talking about with those people, everybody is not a part of that conversation. There are different people. There were angels who were at war with other angels. Right. All right. Before you called him the devil and you hated him so damn bad, you feel me? Or whoever these people were, in these stories, they were family. You understand? It's like you got an issue, even know you. You feel me? So they, right, with these wings and this this big face and tail and pitchfork, is to depict God that way. Facts. Or to depict the other angels that way. Facts. Because they were all likened unto each other. He was there with the heavenly host. Everybody spoke about the heavenly host, extraterrestrial beings, okay? So no, they have the angelic form because you're talking about a molecular structure, right? It's just literally.
So ask your pastor that, because this is the thing. Now you're not children anymore. Okay, which they want you to, they would still like you to not have the developed mind. They didn't want you to develop your prefrontal cortex. They didn't want you to develop critical thinking to be able to think for yourself. The pastors will be out of business. The imams will be out of business. The spiritual gurus will be out of business. Everybody goes out of business when you start learning how to awaken yourself. Think about it. A lot of people talk about, even when the sciences, when we speak about the certain sciences, right? When we're studying Buddhism, right? If you study Buddhism and you say, I'm a Buddhist, then I ask you a question, well, when are you going to become a Buddha? Right? Or when you say, I am a Christian, I'm going to say, well, when are you going to become a Christ? You know, or you say, I am a Muhammadist or a Muslim. Or say, okay, when are you going to become a Mu, or a being of light is what a Mu is? Or when are you going to become a Muhammad? Well, what am I saying when I'm saying all of that? A Buddha is an awakened being, an ascended master. You go look that up. People don't even know what that means, but it's a Buddha. If you're going to say you're a Buddhist, that means you're studying people or you're rooting for people who are awakened. But when are you going to awaken? Right? A Christ or Christ is an anointed being. It's an ancient Egyptian word that means anointed. All right. If we say there shall be many false Christs that will rise up, well, then what's the opposite of false? Right? True. Okay, so then where are the true Christs? You understand? No, you're not going to tell me there's only one Christ, because that would mean there's only one anointed one. And that doesn't make sense, because all throughout the scripture we find out about anointed peoples, anointed and appointed peoples. So you're going to have false Christ. That's a fact, because you're going to have people who are, like you can see in the conscious community, all this fake woke shit. They acting like they anointed. They acting like they've been appointed in some way, shape, form, and fashion other than their own accord. Right? That's a fact. But then you have some who, not just by what they say, based off of their works. We could use Malachi for an example. You can see that that was and is an anointed person, an appointed person in some way, shape, form, or fashion, in order for them to have to been able to do all of these things that led for true upregulation of genes, true activation of the people actually waking up. You understand? So if I ask you, when are you going to become a Christian, a Christ, an actual Christ versus just following Christ, when are you going to become one like him? As a matter of fact, when are you going to be able to do the things that he did and greater? Because he said, if you really believe on him, you will be able to do all those works and greater. And I've yet to meet somebody who can walk on water. I've yet to meet somebody who can turn water into wine. I've yet to meet somebody who can do all this multiplication thing that they turn into an allegory of the fish and the bread. I've yet to meet somebody who can perform the actual Lazarus bringing forth out of the darkness into the light act. Now, we have people that do it in masonry all the time. We have people who do it in the temples and the lodges all the time. You understand? But that's not happening in real life. As in, after you've been dead or asleep, as he was saying it, but they didn't understand that sleep meant dead. You understand? After you've been dead for 3-4 days, there is no coming back after rigor mortis sets in. You're not being brought back from there. You understand? So the point that I'm bringing up here is, if you actually do believe in Yeshus or Jesus or Elias or Isis or Isis or whoever, whatever name or tone you'll want to put to these ascended masters, Isha, okay, well then you should be one of them, because you should be able to do what they do and more. He said it. If it wasn't like that, it wouldn't have been put there to be able to be spoken. You understand? After Muhammad, are you only walking and just looking toward the praised one? Because that's what Muhammad would mean, someone who was worthy of praise or praised one. Or are you putting yourself in a position to be worthy of such? You understand? Now, the pastor, the one who was going past you, he surpassed you, or the past master, okay? The one who has a lodge. You don't know it's a lodge because he calls it a church, but it's a lodge. You actually do attend a Masonic lodge every Sunday if you're a Christian and you go. You attend a Masonic lodge as a speculative. You're not the operative, pews, and you observe this sun or this God called the past master or the pastor, or the one who you say is worthy of reverence. You call him a reverend. You understand? And they have the baptism, they have the pulpit, all of the water allegory is there. The congregation is present. You understand? You attend a lodge. But this pastor or this reverend or this person who's put themselves up on this pedestal as this high or ascended master, they don't want you to go beyond them. Because if you go beyond them, then you will no longer need to attend their lodge. You understand? You will be walking as your own temple at that. In the body of what? Christ. Meaning you will have at that point been anointed. Now, if I say Qur'as, it also meant buried. It wasn't just, so let's say this, in the Masonic order, all right, and I speak on this as a traveler, someone who became a Mason, okay, when you go in, you die, meaning you lose your life. You're no longer who you were. That's the part of the whole ritual when you walk in through the Twin Towers or the Boaz and Jachin, or the Jachin, which is literally saying the one who establishes and the strength. All right, that's Boaz, the strength, and the one who establishes, Jachin, the first Twin Towers. All right, which you actually have those Twin Towers when you come into this world. The Twin Towers that you enter through, all right, are your mother's legs. You understand? You're born again. So you go in Masonry and you become born again. In order for you to be born again, you have to what? Be buried. You have to die. All right? And that anointing takes place. So if Qur'as meant to be buried, all right, but also anointed and resurrected again, when you're saying Christ died and was resurrected again, and when he said 2, 3, degrees or grades or days, all right, what is really being spoken of here? There's an allegory, all right, and then there's a literary. The allegory is just with Masonry. You go through those 3 degrees and you open up all 3 of your eyes. Your left, your right, and your first, as some of you call your third, which will be your central or your capstone. All right, meaning you lay down the foundations. If you're going to build a foundation on one brick, that won't work. Okay, because there's a whole nother sacred there. You need 2 to make that triangle on the foundation, the bottom, which are your pillars you enter in with. All right, and then you go all the way up. Because look at the words. Illuminated means lit up. Illuminati means to be lit up or enlightened. Go look it up. All right. And if I'm saying enlightened, that light word is there. Okay. So when we spoke of in the book of John, all right, the first book of John, I think that was 1 through 9, chapter 1, first John chapter 1, verse 1 through 9, which is not a coincidence. But that is not a coincidence because you get the 19 there. Okay, what do we say? That the light was there. In the beginning was the word. All right. And that word also brings you to the ruh, which is the soul or the spirit, or the bar, something that is spoken. All right. Or the light, which is the water. It's of that which you call God was there. And we spoke about the true light, meaning what? There was also a false light, where we was in the same conversation with the Masons in that room where they said, yo, light doesn't mean information. You know what I'm saying? Light is good. And da-da-da-da. I said, no. Because when you say the word Lucifer, what does it mean? Lucifer means to carry light or a bearer of light. And if we're dealing with Lucifer as in the same Lucifer that was beheld when they put in the book of Luke, chapter 10, from the higher planes, Iparanos or heaven. Okay, then that means that this one who was carrying light was described as Shaitan, also an opposer, but was able to carry light and was able to travel interdimensionally from the heavens to the earth. Why am I bringing that up? Because you go to Revelation 12. See why. Revelation 12, verse 7 through 9, you'll see that this same being who was called the devil. It wasn't the devil. They didn't say this is the name of the being. They said Shaitan, called the devil, had a war with Michael, which Mikael meant what? One who was like God. So Michael had light also. You understand? And he had angels or messengers. And the messengers bring what? Information. And what is information in Masonry? Light. Okay? And they said that Shaitan and his angels or his messengers, types of light, having a war. So my question, is Lucifer an enemy? It's not that Lucifer is an enemy. Is that, are you aware of what type of is being brought to you at different points in time? You understand? Because Lucifer just means somebody carrying light. So question, did Lucifer carry Genesis at all? Because they said Lucifer was in heaven and fell down. But in the Genesis creation, they said that he was created of the beasts of the field, the most subtle of the beasts of the field that were created. So you talk about different types of beings even in that story. But let's keep it simple enough that let's say that this being was bringing some type of light. So he would be a Lucifer, even if it was not the same as that Lucifer that fell from heaven. We know that it can't be because heaven would not have been the garden of delight of the terrestrial plane. You understand? That's two different worlds. So let's say this serpent or Nakash, which interestingly enough, it still brings you to a word which meant burning, which means illuminated or fiery. Okay. So let's say this Nakash in the book of Genesis chapter 3, all right, was bringing them some information. And Eve was able to listen to this information and make a decision of her own, or whether or not she was going to listen to what this serpent, as they call it, says. It's not a snake. All right. Nakash would have brought you to fiery being or burning, just like the word Saref. All right. When you say Seraphim, would have brought you to burning or illuminated. That would be false because snakes cannot speak. Okay. You would not be dealing with some snake with a larynx, okay, that could speak. And Eve would not have talking to some snake. No, she was talking to a sly person. So you could have described them as that, but this being also had light. So ask yourself a question. What does a snake have on the creator of all things? How could a snake know what was happening in the law of heaven, where the snake was only of the beasts of the field supposed to be? No, this was not that. This was another type of being, another group of beings who had illumination or information. Because when they asked her, yo, did God say you can't eat of this tree and this, that, and the third? She said, yes, God did say, oh, it would have been a commandment. Well, when you say, what was the first commandment? You would have to go to the first commandment would have been, right, what? In the Genesis book where they were explaining that you were not to eat of the tree, all right, in the midst of the garden, all right, or any of those commandments in Genesis where be fruitful and multiply. That's a commandment. You understand? So she knew the law. And Eve was standing there with Adam, so you can't use this whole Eve tricked Adam. Adam knew the law and was standing right there. If you go and read it, they said that she took of the fruit and ate and turned and gave to Adam who was with her the fruit. Said that she gave to Adam and he did eat. Who was with her? It's literally in it. Who was with her? So they were both there and they were both offered a piece of information. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Literally, here's where it gets tricky. Okay, when you're dealing with somebody being potentially beguiled or somebody made an offer and they choose of an offer, but they didn't have all the information that came with it. You understand? Which means you were literally still tricked, but you were only made an offer. You weren't tricked in the way that says that you didn't know what you were offered. You knew what you were offered. And she took that. And what was that offer? That you would know the knowledge between good and evil, the pleasure to the sight, the desire. Did this being who brought this light lie to her? No, this being did tell her the truth. Are you with me? So watch this. When we come into the conversation of, well, there was something missing because Eve and Adam took of this fruit. And then they learned all of these things. And God said, now the man has become like one of us. They confirmed everything that the serpent was speaking about. All right. And then what? They cast them out of the garden of delight. They cast them out. The serpent did not say, you will be cast out of the garden of delight. You understand? So this was something that it didn't even have to happen. It's just something that these beings who were governing that garden or that sanctuary chose to do. Here's another question. Was that true? Was it the fruit that killed? If you ask your pastor, what would have killed Adam and Eve? Would the fruit have killed Adam and Eve? Indefinitely, meaning inevitably. Would it have killed them? And the answer is no. Why do we say that? Because they said if they eat of the tree of life, they were going to live forever. So God put them out of the garden, according to this story. That's what caused them to die. Because if they were allowed to eat of the tree of life, they would still be alive because they said they would live forever. You understand that? What's my point here? My point here is when you're saying Lucifer, when you're saying illuminated, when you're saying Christ, when you're saying all of the ascended master, Buddha, all right, all you're really saying is enlightened beings. Beings who have more advanced information than the common being does. So you say, okay, well, is Lucifer good? I say no. You say, is Lucifer bad? I say no. Lucifer is anybody who's carrying light. So let's say a light from a school shooting. The gun is the light. Are you with me? You understand? So when people are explaining about Lucifer versus God or Shaitan versus God, they should really just be explaining that there are different beings who have different agendas with different levels of knowledge and information. And if you're not up there with them in that degree, or if you're not up them in that knowledge or that information, you're just the ones at the bottom of the pyramid. You understand? So you can root for whoever. You ever see the movies where they screaming at the TV? You understand? Rooting for who they want to win. You can root for whoever. But what are your work? And go to war. If God didn't need an army, why does God have an army? God has an army. When Lot had to bring in those two angels who came in as messengers or lords, all right, into Sodom and Gomorrah, he had to protect them, cover them, and hide them away from. Y'all said the live is pausing. It shouldn't be pausing. It's clear for me. But he had to hide them away from population. You understand? And help them. So the question is, what are you doing? When the Christ child was born, who was preparing to protect the Christ child? Who was going to protect the Christ child? And don't tell me he didn't have to be protected, because when that person or that angelos or that messenger came to Joseph, or that God came to Joseph and said, yo, get up and move, run, leave now. Yeah, I don't know why it's paused. Y'all give me a second. Y'all let me know how it's doing now. How it's doing. Can y'all hear me now? Right. I appreciate that. So the bottom line is, we were just speaking about ascended masters. You understand? So that's why I told people, become ascended masters. Become the ones who can control the realm. Become the elite. Become the elect. It's all the same thing. We're all saying the same exact thing. Become them. Or just be a follower. You understand? But that's why in this day and time, you have to be cautious, because if you only looking to follow a pastor, or if you only looking to follow a master, or if you only looking to follow a Christ, or if you only looking to follow a Buddha, you can be misled. You understand? Use your brain. That's how you do it. Use your discernment. Be active. People find comfort in being told what to do. Do you understand that? People find comfort in not having to think for themselves. Look at what's going on with the Tory and Med situation. This is the same Tory and Med situation that I was writing about in my book, How to Love Again. As a matter of fact, we can go to that and see how that aged. We can go look at that and see how did it age, what phase one was speaking about in the book, How to Love Again. We'll go to that in a second. All right? But look at what's happening with that. People don't, It's not even about Meg and Tory. It's not even about them. It's about black men versus black women. That's what it's about. You understand? Listen, you have not spoken to a single person who knows what happened that night. Maybe I should say that again, just for context. You haven't spoken to a single person who knows what happened that night. Nobody knows what happened. And there's so many things that could show how this person could be lying. This person could be lying. This person could be telling the truth. This person could be telling the truth. He did do it. He didn't do it. She didn't do it. She did do it. This person lied. This motherfucker lied. They want immunity. Ain't no virus outside. It's all kind of shit going on. But you still lean to left or right. Why do you do that? That makes no sense to me. Watch this. Here go another situation. Lil Tay. Lil Tay pop up. They said she's dying. She died. Her parents killed her. What? Her parents killed her. And her parents killed her brother. Another message pops up. No, she hasn't. She's not dead. Her Instagram is compromised. Now you don't know what to think, but you just jumped out like you knew what was going on. So now you have another paradigm. Is she dead? Is she not dead? Carly, is she missing? Is she not missing? Was the situation with the damn boat a real situation, or is that a psyop? Or did you forget that a such thing as a psyop exists? Why would there need to be? Now, when I made the post and I said, yo, don't let one video or one situation, all right, erupt or encourage unnecessary racial tension. Everybody's ability to reason and read went out the window. Nobody understood what the fuck I was saying. And you want to know when people started to understand what I was saying? It took one person. I pinned their comment. Then everybody understood what I was saying. Until then, nobody got it. And that's why I like when that type of thing happens, because I can just see, just pay attention to watch how people. He said, what do you mean unnecessary? We've been fighting. We need to fight. I said, you don't get what I'm explaining to you? Then you see another situation in Detroit where the motherfuckers beating somebody with a chair, so white on black, and more white on black situations erupting, more white on black situations being encouraged, or black on white, and you don't get what the fuck I was saying? Maybe I should remind you of what I'm saying. You don't give a fuck about none of these racial things until it goes viral. You didn't care about BLM until Kanye West put on a White Lives Matter shirt. He explained to you what the White Lives Matter shirt meant, and you told him, no, it didn't mean that. You told him it didn't mean what the fuck he told you it meant, and you ain't even know what it meant. Why? Because you wanted to lean left or right. So to answer your question, how do we do that? Stop doing that. Stop leaning left or right. I've been saying the same shit for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Take the middle path. It's the path less traveled. But take that pathway. It's a straight and narrow path. Wide is the gate. Who with me? Take that path. It leads you straight to the capstone, straight to the center. You'll be standing there at the top where everybody arguing, or which different 4 sides of the pyramid. You got one side is blue, one side is yellow, one side is green, one side is purple. The motherfucker say, it's red, it's blue, it's green. All these different colors they're yelling out. And you standing there and say, hey, this side is purple, this side is blue, this side is yellow, this side is green. You're all right. No, we can't be all right. That's impossible. Well, come up here, you'll be able to see not only that you're all right, but if you just traveled a little bit, if you just moved around, you understand? Guess what? You will be able to see that for yourself. Listen, when it was television, all they had to do was tell you a vision, and you would be programmed, and you would channel into whatever they were saying, and you will receive their vision, and you go out into the world and act on whatever they. How you think? Listen, Rodney King wasn't on the internet. Rodney King wasn't on the internet. It was televised. You sat in, well, your parents or some of y'all here, you sat and you watched it on TV. Why did they air it? The government controls all of that shit. Why did they air it? Why was it on TV? So it goes from TV, which it was radio at one point. It was radio, TV, computers, And now these little computers that are in your hand and you still don't get it. Things don't go viral on accident. Somebody did it. Somebody pushed the button. You understand? There's no accident. Okay, well then you may not understand spell work. You may not understand how rituals work, that you don't have to be present for things to move. I do my best to explain to you magic. I do my best to explain to you that you're holding a magic wand in your hand. It's actually composed of quartz. The same thing we built our magic wands out of coming up. This channels energy. This is a Stargate. And I'm an adept. And I can tell you, I do magic on here. I show you how to manipulate this algorithm on here. I'm constantly showing you. I said, okay, they don't want to give me the verified badge. Watch this. You know? And I said to you, well, this year we're going to do 100,000 followers at least. I show you how to do it, what to do, when to do it. We were fasting. Do y'all realize that from May 17th of our fasting? And let me tell you something else. Some people didn't understand this, but maybe you should now. I said a while ago, last year, that when we get into this summer of this year, we were going to be doing sun magic. I know some of y'all are still waiting on what is the sun magic and don't even realize you've been doing it. And I kept trying to show you. I said, look, it's May 17th. Look at how the corona holes on this sun are starting to shift and position themselves to be geo-effective. I explained to you what it meant. I said, your fasting is interacting with the sun's activity. You understand? People around me are even starting to say, yo, y'all are fasting right when the sun is starting to do this and do that. And then people started saying, say, yo, X flares and this, that. Exactly. You're already doing the magic. The sun magic, or interacting with the sun. But people think magic means abracadabra. It doesn't. You understand? So when I said don't let it lead to unnecessary racial tension, is because racial tension, for one, is not necessary. Let's be 100% clear. For where we're going, racial tension has no place. If you don't understand that, then you're left behind. You think these are 60s, you ain't one of mine. That's why I want you to leave. Somebody say, unfollow. I said, let me help you. I blocked them. You don't have to tell me you want to block me. I don't want you nowhere in the way. We have no room for racial tension. What are you talking about? Do you see what's going on your planet? Are you paying attention? We don't have room for it. So think about it. If we don't have room for it, well then, like I explained to you, anybody who coming out here talking about they some black leader, don't listen to them. Anybody trying to do all this, us, we the original people and black this and that, don't listen to them. It's not that game. That game was played to get rid of the inferiority complex that people had brought into their own systems or was pushed and forced onto the people by this governmental system who was, at that time, all Caucasian people. Those were all Caucasoids in those time periods. When you would have to walk on the sidewalk and you see them walking and you get off the sidewalk. Now, you walk on the sidewalk, they see you walking, they change neighborhoods. It's not the same game. They're trying to convince you that it is. Okay, so, well, why can't we be happy? Why can't we be happy that we stood together and, we fought them and they was beating on their security guard and we all came together? Nigga, I was at the house. I was at home. You was at the beauty salon. This nigga who commented, he was at the barbershop. This motherfucker was at the club bartending. What do you mean we was doing some shit? No, them people saw somebody getting jumped on and handled their business. They helped them. We're not going to make this into no race thing where now we all coming together where I can scroll on this same timeline and see a nigga getting his head beat in by niggas and people still recording, but it's a nigga yelling, beat his ass. Beat his ass. When nobody yelling beat his ass. Why y'all didn't yell beat his ass when that security guard was getting jumped on? Somebody should have been screaming, beat his ass. Damn. Brrr. Somebody, why? And you expect me to be stupid with you. I'm not stupid. Murder is murder. Death is death. Humanity is humanity. If you're going to help somebody because they being jumped, help somebody because they being jumped. Not help them because they being jumped and they black. And then turn around and not help a nigga because they being jumped and they black, but it's black people jumping them. I'm not stupid with you. And you mad at me. That's why I say, how motherfucker gonna get upset with me because I'm not simple-bodied with them? We, ain't no we. Ain't no, it's never we until it's them. Then it's we. No. Now, let me tell you something. If I was there, it would have been the same shit. You know, now I can't lie. I can't swim, so I wouldn't have been a nigga who was swimming. I would have had to find another way to get over there. But I would have helped the nigga too. But you know what else? If it was a Caucasian person or an Asian person getting jumped on, I would have been like, let's help them. Let's help them. Don't let this nigga get his head beat in. But you want to know what else? In the hoods I was growing up in, when I was like, yo, let's help this nigga. You understand? I'm into it with the nigga now. Me and him getting jumped on. Ain't nobody helping us. I'm like, nigga, look what you done got me into. But nigga, we into it together because nigga, they jumping on you. So I'm trying to help you. Now I'm getting jumped. We both getting jumped. It ain't no camaraderie. It ain't no family and no we all together. Let's all form together. You're not going to act like that fucking chair means anything to our life or our struggle as black people. No, it's entertainment. It's drama. You on your phone. You ain't outside. 3 days have passed. Ain't nobody talking about it no more. Just like every other current event. Ain't nobody talking about it no more. Guess we ain't together no more. You know what I'm saying? She gonna still charge you extra for your hair. You know what I mean? He's still gonna backdoor you. You feel me? This motherfucker still gonna rob you. These folks still hating on you. It's still the same shit. If it was different, I wouldn't say that. But you gotta show me both sides. You gotta show me that we gonna stand up when it's our people in our communities fucking our communities up or hurting our people. That don't make sense to me. Think about it. If you get jumped on by some white folks, right? You want somebody to help you. Okay, boom. Granted. If you get jumped on by some black folks, you don't want nobody to help you. Somebody come in and say, I got you. No, nigga, these are my people. No, you won't help. Or you ain't never been jumped. You don't know what that feel like. You feel me? Stop the games. That's how you do it. Stop the games. And then you can't be played no more. Because then you start scratching your head and say, wait a minute. Hold on. Trump finna be back in office. Racial tension. Ding, 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 ding. Trump running for president again. Racial tension. It's the easiest cards in the book that they can pull. And they're not finished. Did you hear me? They're not finished. Because they gotta knock on your door and be like, hey, remember when Trump was racist? You be like, yeah, okay, that'll be all, thank you. And they gonna leave. Next door. Hey, remember when Trump was racist? Yeah, that'll be all. You know what I'm saying? They gotta remind you that Trump was a racist. They gotta remind you, hey, remember when we taught you he was a racist? Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. Okay, so don't vote for him. Remember who you with. You know what I'm saying? And most people are gonna be stupid again. I'm telling you, all you have to do is watch the Shade Room. Just watch the Shade Room and you'll see where people at. You know, and they got it set up in such a way, the algorithm has it set up in such a way, this would go back to what I was explaining to you earlier, that people don't know how to. It's not comfortable to think for themselves. That take too much damn work. You understand? You ever been around people who, they don't want to laugh unless the leader in the group laugh? When the leader in the group laugh, then everybody laughing. You ever been in school or wherever around people, if the leader in the group fuck with this person, now everybody fuck with him? But if the leader in the group don't fuck with this person, now nobody don't fuck with him. It's comfortable. They choose algorithm and they align with it. You understand? It's the same thing. They have people comment on the Shade Room with major platforms that will set the tone for the rest of the comments. And then everybody comes and think they being so special by just flipping around the words of what's being said. So you ask me, how do we do that? Take that middle path. Learn how to not only just think for yourself, okay, but think in such a way that causes for you to progress. It's real life. I'm explaining that to you. What's going on, Rob? It's real life. That way of thought we about to bring it up because I told you I was going to pull it up, is why people are seeing Tory get 10 years and they celebrating. Why are you celebrating? Let me tell you why you're celebrating. Because you think that this is a victory for black women. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm telling you why you're celebrating. Or if not, tell me why not. He being held accountable. Okay, you celebrating. What did it got to do with you? I'm a black woman. Exactly. You think that it's a victory for black women. You understand? Now, if he would have got off, what niggas would have been doing? Niggas would have been celebrating. And I asked, why are you celebrating? Because you think it's a victory for black women. I mean, for black men. You understand that? So the moment that you realize, first of all, none of that had anything to do with you. You made it have something to do with you. Well, let's look at it like this. The media presented it that it had something to do with you, and you took it on as your own struggle. Now, I understand it. I get it. That's why I put it in the book. I understand that I get what's going on. Okay? But the only reason why they're able to do this is because the majority of people are still just being herded along. You ask them what's going on for real in politics right now, they have no idea. But if the Shade Room posts it, they'll know about it. So do your math on that. Even though the Shade Room don't got many people that, it's 28 million, right? Well, they really should have more followers, as many people that keep up with it. All right? Your community as melanin dominant people, if you want to call it a community, even though there's a lack thereof, they go to the Shade Room to see what to think, how to move, what's new. You understand? Exactly. Most people are confused, and that's my point. And confusion comes where you have a fusion of cons. There's not much pro going on. There's not much progression happening. What's happening in the Shade Room run people's life. If the Shade Room fall right now, people are going to segue over into the spiritual world. That's just the lineup. Because the spiritual world came in at like they was what? Look at the name of it. They were speaking on this spiritual stuff and da-da-da-da-da. Then whoop, whoop, whoop. The next thing you know, they the next Shade Room. Something happens to the spiritual world, they just segue over to say cheese. People want to be entertained, and people want somebody to think for them. They want somebody to think for them. That's all. If you go into there and people were saying, yo, we should be easy on Tory, and there was 80% of people saying that, the 20% will give up. Because most people don't like the pressure, all right, of having to fight for what they believe in. Most people, they had no problem with Trump. But until when 80% of the people said they did, they said, fuck it, I guess I got a problem with Trump too. You talking about celebrities too now. You feel me? So that's the thing. So let's look at it real quickly. I'm going to go to it. Because I put it in the book, How to Love Again. Tory Lanez versus Meg situation. I got to scroll to it. If you got the book, you got it. If not, I'm going to have to, because I got my phone, my other phone's messing. I had to get another phone. So I don't know if I'm still have the same Cash App or I'm going to just have to sign that shit in over here. But we'll probably have to come on here later if y'all want to get the books. But if you do have it, you remember the How to Love Again book where I spoke on it, right? Okay, I'm going to pull it up real quick. All right. We got... One second, y'all. XX chromosome. All right, I'll start with the soulmate. I think I'll do that. Okay, cool. So the science of, we're going to go into the Tory, it's going to lead into the Tory Lanez and the Meg thing. This book came out 2022. I think it was 2022 that I released this one. Yeah, at the end of 2022. All right. So the science of the soulmate, coupled with the science of the twin flame, explains the spiritual phenomenon where two people meet and are deeply connected almost instantaneously. They immediately start to feel as though they are one, which speaks to the concept of the quote-unquote other half. I said this idea of oneness has been expressed in many different ways over the course of humanity's documenting their theologies and ideologies regarding their creation stories and how they came to be. When you think of the Adam and Eve story, you are placed in a world where it's possible to take one person of being, called Adam, and split being into two separate entities, as Eve was created using a rib that came out of Adam's body. Okay? This is the reason why some men refer to their mates or their spouses as their quote unquote rib. All right. So Eve being taken out of Adam's rib indirectly supports the esoteric assertion that at one point in time, some 700,000 years ago, human beings were all androgynous and were able to asexually reproduce through a process scientifically known as parthenogenesis. Over time, there was an alteration that took place, an interrupted period of genetic mutations that led to the creation of female out of male. This would have actually meant that the woman who possesses the original chromosome, the XX chromosome, created or yielded the man who possesses the branch off chromosome, the XY chromosome. So in fact, the quote unquote males were actually women, and the females, which would be the branch offs of males, all right, were actually men. Are you understanding that? I hope I'm not confusing anybody with that. I said most people think of the males as the men because of the idea that women come from men. I explained in the book, How to Speak Elite, that all human beings start off their process of life in the womb as females. Okay? So you had Plato, who also spoke of the human beings being split by Zeus and separated from each other, creating male and female. All right? Which is also in Genesis. Male and female created he, them. It is the esoteric assertion that each and every one of us has a quote unquote twin flame because of this splitting, and that we will find each other lifetime after lifetime, one way or another. Soulmates and twin flames don't always end up together. Okay? They don't always end up in a romantic relationship. Sometimes they are only friends or passers-by. There is always a subtle hint towards compatibility that occurs when they meet that those two people will never forget. It never mattered how many children Ninti had, okay, which also was a word that meant mother or woman of the rib, okay, where you get the Hawa story, Nekabal story, and the Eve story from Ninti, okay, which is actually an ancient Sumerian story. You go research that, okay? Interestingly enough. So it never mattered how many children Ninti had. It doesn't matter, and it wouldn't, and the reason why I'm saying interestingly enough, because Ninti was the code word for one of my exes in this book, if you remember, if you got that book. All right. But Ninti was also the mother or Eve. All right. It doesn't matter, and it wouldn't have ever mattered. Her children's father could have been with her 9 million times. The 9 million and first time wouldn't change a thing. Even though it didn't work out that her and I were able to be quote unquote together, there will always be a divine cord between us. That's love. That's divine love. Let's give thanks to the true light, the love that will always lead us out of the darkness if we let it. All right. Ninti and I found that true light, even if only momentarily. That true light will hold us over for the rest of our lives. We were created for one another. And as soon as we came together, we found tranquility and contentment in each other. All right. Just as it was stated in Al-Quran, divine companionship is a booming gift. If you've ever experienced it, even if it didn't quote unquote end as you may have wanted it to end, be grateful that you had the experience. Be honored. Remember and focus on all of the good memories. Let that help to drive you to love again. Not again as in once more necessarily, but again as in to bring that cycle of love back around. It can even stay for good. That is up until the point where the sands of time blend with the waters of infinity for one of you, one after the other, or both together. This is what is meant by the universally accepted vow. Till death do us part. Okay? So there's another beautiful thing about love. Love is unpredictable. I said just as much as love itself is unknown, it is also seemingly impossible to predict when, where, why, or how we will happen upon an echoing moment in time that resounds like an explosive rain, the force from the vibrations hurling us into an endless euphoria that rests just a few heartbeats above a raging pool of gravity called time. One thing is for certain, no matter what happens, we will all one day be channeled into that elusive dream of a world called death. Okay? I said those who are deeply in love know this also. The reality of finite life is always in the back of their minds. They will either grow stronger over time together as they blissfully evade that force for as long as they humanly can, or they will dwindle apart and endure that beautifully obstinate fate either on their own or with another partner. Some people may desire to live and transition from this life into the next alone, or all plus one, all one. Others may desire to live and transition from this life whilst conjoined spiritually with a divine companion. As human beings with our conscious ability, we can choose to journey in either of those directions. Whether we are operating within single or plural parameters of that journeying, it's important to remember that we are still loved. We are still worthy, and we are still part of the all, or El Kalum Papayut. All right, which is that supremely divine force that moves within and without itself, called existence. If you look at those two words, single and plural, you'll hear and see how even in these words, there's an over-truthing, not underlying resonance of that oneness. All right, so we have single, which is sing plus L. We have plural, which is plur plus L. All right, so sing, L. This word and breakdown of the word single, to be sing plus L, means that even in your singularity, you are still a verse, okay? A universe, to be exact, that is a part of the greater song. That song sounds much sweeter when we align and come together on one accord, which is also dealing with music. When we come together, that core us, which is the chorus, core us, the essence of who we really are, is expressed with the sound of acquire, because it is then that we will acquire heaven on earth. Even as you are alone or all one, you are all connected to the all. All right. This is the song of El, the single, the Tawheed, or the uniqueness, oneness of everything. When I'm saying song of El, remember El means God. So sing El. All right. Then you have plural. This word and breakdown of the word plural, to be plur plus L, means that as a unit, you are to plur, which means to search and investigate what the mystery of L is. I say you together have the opportunity to explore that mysterious collision of two potentially explosive particles, two human beings who come together as one. That explosion, as it may occur, allows for a peek into the powerful world of God, as we call it, or the source, right here in the How to Love Again book. New life can emerge from that explosion. From the moment of meeting your partner for the first time to the point of your first child being conceived, there's a divine charge between the two of you, teaching you both of the sacred science of divine companionship. I said you're taught this both on a conscious as well as on a subconscious or superconscious level. Even if there are no children to be born of the both of you, there's still divinity to explore as plurality are blessed or bliss to be. It is important for you and your mate to be able to take that journey whilst in sync with one another. Your relationship is your relationship. All right? Somebody needs to hear this. Your relationship is your relationship. The two of you. It does not involve the community. That particular divine companionship will be able to function on a much stronger foundational frequency when the two of you are taking that walk, exploring together. Be aware of your surroundings. I said, if you are in love, your surroundings, meaning the people around you, are watching you closely. Waiting for your divine companionship to sink. This is because true love is so rich, okay? When people experience envy, they tend to respond spitefully. I have witnessed this for myself. It is almost as if they have made it up in their minds at that point that the temporary satisfaction they took on as they moved with such malice was worth the damage that would come about because of it. They disregard and choose not to take notice of the pain that they could potentially cause. Okay, I said this is how people are generally speaking. Hold on to your love and do not let go of it. Keep your love close, like a bag full of money and precious, priceless gems. That bag filled with valuables is not something you would share with everyone about. There are some who may be posted waiting to rob you. Are you with me? Okay, so we're getting there. Remember, we're going toward the Tory and Meg. With this gem, I advise that you always use your discernment. Pay close attention to people and what they do. If you have friends who seem to only be excited and present when you and your significant other are going through rough patches and breakups, or they only seem to be interested in discussing the negative things when it comes to you and your divine partner, get as far away from them as possible. Did you hear me? When you have good news regarding your divine companionship, just like anyone would, there are feelings of joy and elation, and you may want to tell the whole world. It is okay to be cheerful, and it is okay to feel eager to pull others into your divine companionship reality. As there are those who hope to see you and your mate torn apart and broken, there are also others who will beam right alongside you, rejoicing with you as you find your way through that mysterious true love desert. People share your good news. Only share your good news with those people. Another thing that is important when it comes to dating is remembering the importance of what we call courtship. I said these days you can look out and see that there are so many people who want love, but they have no idea about how to actually obtain it. The masses have been taught to have standards and criteria by which they judge one another, men and women alike, and those standards and criteria are harmful. The women are being taught, generally speaking, to only date a man for his money or his status or his lifestyle. All three of those tie into one another. These men are being taught, generally speaking, to only date a woman for her body, for her sexuality, or her lifestyle. The three of those are all connected as well. Having standards is not the issue, although there are plenty of people who have issues with the standards of modern day people as far as the dating or marriage scene is concerned. I said a lot of men have an issue with the women who only date men for their money or for their status or for their lifestyle. A lot of women have an issue with the men who only date women for their body or for their sexuality or for their lifestyle. This is the reason for all of, here we go with the Meg and Tori. This is the reason for all of the noisy gender wars that have been erupting over the past decade. The standards are not the problem here. The problem at hand is people have not, generally speaking, took up standards for themselves that allow for space for true courtship. What is the rush? When you find someone that connects with you, it is okay to take your time to actually get to know them better. People should explore all of the divinely peaceful, or what is more commonly known as the lovey-dovey world of vibes that is created when two people begin a journey as a couple, which is a single when they come together as one. Remember the simple things. It was a simple thing for two lovers or lovers-to-be to write each other letters. I said this allowed for a different type of medium to be utilized to express how they felt about one another. The energy flow from the mind, the brain, through the body, from the hand to the pen and onto the paper is much more intimate than that of the digital text messages of today. If you and your partner are currently having issues communicating with each other, I advise that you write them a letter. In that letter, explain what you feel and how and why you feel what you feel. Be gentle. You will actually find that writing a letter will prompt you to be more gentle and careful with your words. All right? I said in that letter, be sure to point out the things that have been or that are currently going well in the relationship. Express your concerns and make your demands. As you bring your letter to a close, be sure to let your partner know that you want them to write you back. All right. This will leave the door open for a new form of intimacy between the two of you. If you want, I would also advise that you incorporate art in your letter, drawing in the margins of the paper or in between certain words or paragraphs. You may even want to consider listing a song or two that reflects your mood or how you feel toward them. Truly. All right. I said in the moment, disagreements may seem so important and so extreme. Writing a letter will help you work through those temporary emotions. You do not have to be at odds with your partner to write them letters. You can write them random letters expressing gratitude, sexual fantasies, aspirations, reflections, ideas, jokes, etc. This is one way to court a person or to bring back that spark that existed during the courting stages, or at least what could have been the spark of the courting stages if there were none. All right. I say also give gifts. When you give gifts, do so with the spirit of abundance. This does not mean that you have to purchase expensive gifts. A simple handmade necklace could and would suffice. By giving with the spirit of abundance, I mean to give without the expectation of receiving a gift in return. Give gifts because you love them. When courting, give gifts. When dating, give gifts. When getting engaged, give gifts. Be sure to take note of how they respond to receiving also. I put this in bold. Do not overdo it. Take your time, listen to them, study them, and gift them accordingly. They like the color orange. You realize after a while that the color orange is their favorite. Plan a date and show up with a bouquet of orange flowers, fellas. When you see them, whenever that next time is to be, show up with an orange candle, ladies. All right? This is an example of being thoughtful. You do this because you care. You do not do this to manipulate. All right, I'm going to read that again. You do not do this to manipulate, which is why it's important for people to learn to care again. Love is one thing, but care is a whole different conversation. Know the difference. The goal is to show appreciation. Gifting is one way to let someone know that they are cared for and that they are in your thoughts. All right? It is important that we get back in sync with one another, men and women. The gender wars must end. All right? Now, look, it's reality. Before I continue reading this, the gender wars do got to end. And ladies, I just let y'all know this. Just to be 100% real, I do agree with you when y'all say, you know, this is the sassy generation of men, da-da-da-da-da. Look, I'm around them. I get it. I agree. But y'all like, can y'all really blame us? Do y'all remember the Stump the Yard shit? Okay, I think I need everybody need to go back and just watch Stump the Yard and turn the sound down. It's they damn fault. When we looking at them niggas slapping doing all that little shit, man, it's they fault. So you got to blame them Stump the Yard ass niggas for why the fuck these niggas out here wanting to argue with y'all and go back and forth and be the best women they can be. So I agree with you. But this gender war shit do got to end. That shit got to be brought to a complete close. Cause they already got the racial shit going on. They got the spiritual shit going on. And then they got men and women at war with each other. And you know who they targeting. No, you got to know, y'all think I'm playing. You got to go back and watch Stump the Yard. I might pull that shit up. You just got to go watch Stump the Yard. I know some of y'all niggas thought that shit was so hard. Them niggas, you got to watch them turn the sound down. I seen that shit the other day. I said, wait a minute, hold on. Let me turn the sound down. I said, hell no, this shit is sassy. All that Greek shit, they be... What the fuck is these niggas doing? Talking about Stump the Yard. Them niggas was stepping lightly at best on the yard. Them niggas was tiptoeing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't trying to be funny, but it's like, that's what it is. We came up on a lot of shit. Y'all mad at us. And the problem is, shit, a lot of our daddies was in the streets, so unless we was in the streets with them niggas, we ain't get a lot of this, you know what I'm saying, all this manly macho shit. And I'm not saying I'm exempt. You know what I'm saying? I done had to catch myself a few times and say, hold on, nigga. Stand up straight. What the fuck you leaning like this for, nigga? So I get what y'all saying, but it's a lot of shit to blame. All right, but fellas, when they point it out, don't get mad at them because they for real, but they forget. You went and got us the DVD. You told us to watch the shit. You feel what I'm saying? And we watched it, and now look, it ain't our damn fault. But nah, the bottom line is these gender wars have to end. Bring it to an end. You understand? So listen, it is important that we get back in sync with one another. Men and women. The gender wars must end. As I am a man... Oh, this is going to be important. Hold on, let me get my water. So this is going to be important. Now we get into the Tory Lanez. What's going on with their situation? I had a song. Actually, this came with an album. This actual book came with an album. It's called How to Love Again. So if you remember that, I didn't really drop it on streaming platforms yet. I still got to do that one day. But we got it on YouTube. So if you want to go listen to it. But I had a song on there called On Behalf of Men. As a matter of fact, I might play that real quick and then we get to reading this part. This is an important part. Let me see if I got it on here, though. Yeah, I'm going to play it real quick and then we'll come around and we're going to read that part. So we're going to get into the Tory Lanez mad situation. Remember, this book came out at the end of last year. All right?
Say I want a foreign lady, but I got a woman at home telling her she boring lately. Meanwhile, she wore a new thong. She was trying to look good for me, but a nigga couldn't leave that knowledge her nails. Only time I text when I want some sex, I would never know how that hurt feel. Every time I cheat and she found out, try to make her lie to herself. She bad as fuck, but I won't tell her, so I got her doubting herself. To the point she buy BBLs, got her titties lifted, she trying to look like a model herself. Cause maybe then I'll pay attention, but if my pockets do swell, I'm taking my money to somebody else who put up their body for sale. She wanna be loved, she wanna be held, she wanna be guided as well. But I broke her down like she wasn't shit to me, then told her that I love her, that's the lie that we tell. Hope you forgive us on behalf of us, for every time that you were used for lies, for every time that we fell short of what we say that we was, ever taken for granted your love. I know we hurt y'all. I know we were wrong. Hope you forgive us on behalf of us. Ladies, did we ever thank you for taking care of our babies? Held her down when we went out to prison. Told her to keep it home and we ain't listen. Call you a bitch in public when I'm out with my friends. You thinking I'm too pale. When them lights was off and the shit got slow on the block, it was just you there. He beat you into submission. You still responded with love. 3 weeks a nigga been missing. You still be wanting just us. We got you pregnant and left, stepped out and ran the road. We tried to play like we your friends just for them pantyhose. And so all those times you cried, we couldn't hear you from the outside. Y'all chose not to slide. And I still don't know for why, but sincerely want you to know I hope you forgive us on behalf of us, for every time that you were used for lies, for every time that we fell short of what we say that we was, ever taken for granted your love. I know we hurt y'all. I know we were. Hope you forgive us on behalf of us.
All right, boom. So that was on behalf of men. A lot of niggas didn't like that song, but I mean, I get why. Because, you know, it's just real, though. It's just real shit. You know? So, that was off the How to Love Again album. I will drop it on streaming platforms one day, but for right now, you can find it on YouTube. How to Love Again, Phase 1. A whole little album, nice little vibes, you know, whatever. But let's read it. Let's get into it. So, it is important that we get back in sync with one another. Men and women. The gender wars must end. As I am a man, I understand that men can be more present when it comes to that rectification. There is a song on the album called On Behalf of Men. I said that song was created to bring about a newer flow of energy when it comes to that touchy topic of men versus women. I feel and do acknowledge that the reason there are movements like the feminist movement, and that the reason why women join these movements is because they, the women, have endured in their own experiences, generally speaking, oppression by the hands of men. I do not see it as something that will help the situation, men choosing to bash and attack and argue with women about their experiences and or their responses to their experiences. Change starts with someone. All right, somewhere. Men do better. Listen to the women. They do not respond how they respond for no reason. I say, even if you do not feel what men do or have done, please understand that there is a cry for accountability that she wants you to hear. Do not ignore her. Do not attempt to invalidate her feelings or her experiences because you are not able to logically make sense of them for yourself. When women express their feelings and speak of their experiences with men, as a man, listen, that is not the time for you as a man to jump in with your solutions and your questions as to why she put herself in that situation or why she wore that day or why she did not think of this or that or why she is only talking and not working to solve the problem. No matter how helpful you may feel you are being by doing that, it will not be received that way. All right. The accountability is on the other end in those situations. It is not the victim that is to blame for what is done to them. It is the one who victimizes that is to blame. So listen, because that is one way we can open the doors to restitution. Here's something else that you have to understand. Women are connected. All right. I put it right here in the book. Women are connected. They feel each other on a divine level. Men are generally reared up to be individuals societally. And so they are not able to see how or why there is a connection to what one man has done, to what any man is also capable of doing. I'm gonna read it again. Men are generally reared up to be individuals societally. And so they are not able to see how or why there is a connection to what one man has done to what any man is also capable of doing. All right. It starts with the acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Men have wronged women. That is a reality. Start there. We have to start moving in love. Look at the situation surrounding the two celebrities, Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. All right. Or Thee Stallion, however. If you are not familiar with that case, Tory was accused of shooting Megan. Tory denied this, saying he was innocent. When it was presented to the world that was a possibility, there immediately erupted a war between two sides. One side was born in favor of Megan, saying that she was telling the truth, and the hashtag Protect Black Women was projected. The other side was born in favor of Tory, saying that he was innocent, and the hashtag Stop Lying on Black Men was projected. If y'all remember this. These hashtags were emerged due to the generalization of blacks or melanin dominant people of the West, as well as the generalization of men and women or black men and black women. When Megan told her side of the story, black or melanin dominant women all around the nation were triggered, rightfully so, based off their own experiences or their experiences of their friends or associates and or family members concerning abuse. All right. I have to explain this because I know men don't understand all of this. Women catch it at the drop of a dime what the whole environment is. Men, you got to be explained. This is all of this really for men to. I think the women really had an understanding of all of this. All right. When Megan told her side of the story, black or melanin dominant women all around the nation were triggered, rightfully so, based off of their own experiences or the experiences of their friends, associates, and or family members concerning abuse. What men have to realize is that it is the norm to automatically assume that a woman is lying when she says that something was done to her by the hands of a man or men. Have there been cases of dishonesty? Yes, without a doubt. However, using those cases to discredit the experiences of women altogether is disingenuous, especially when you literally do not know for sure if they are lying to declare that they are. I can only observe all of this as a man at the end of the day, and the only wisdom I can extract is the wisdom that is extracted when you move in the spirit of love. Love is wisdom. And so the verdict was Tory Lanez was found guilty of all charges. I personally do not have an opinion on that verdict. Remember, this book came out in the end of 2022 when they were speaking on the verdict before it became official as they talk about the actual sentencing. Okay. I paid attention to how I personally do not have an opinion on that verdict. I paid attention to how people have chosen to respond to this whole case. All I can say is that the movement Protect Black Women is a valid movement, regardless of if Tory is innocent or guilty. All right. I do not know Tory, but as a man, I know men. I should not have to say I am not speaking about all men. Yet there are plenty men who may be reading this who needed that statement in writing. Protect our women. Listen to them. Be there for them. Stand with them. If you are to rely on the justice system, utilize it to the fullest extent. Remember, however, that we as a people can operate as our own justice system. We are, as men, responsible for the men in our communities. We are to, as men, teach our sons to not abuse women. We are to, as men, step in when our friends and family members show signs of being an abuser. Chastise them. Remember, abuse comes in many forms, not just physical. This is how we can begin to rectify this mess. This is how we can grow to love again. We have to heal. Healing is a process. I said it will not happen overnight, and there will be multiple answers and solutions as to how to overcome these obstacles. It is that time to change our minds. We will find once our minds are changed that it is actually easier to love. It is at that point and that point only that we become superhuman. And by superhuman, I mean we would have become living souls. We are not supposed to regress back to the nature of the animal or Homo erectus, only knowing what it means to live and reproduce. We are made in the image and after the likeness of Homo sapien, a creature that was set on an advanced course of evolution. Out of the dust, the ground, or the Adamo, or the Geo, or the Gab, all right, activated with the breath of life and brought into Eve, which is the heavenly life, okay? That breath of life, or Shu, is what we will use to continue this transformation. Here is an ancient Egyptian depiction of being formed out of the dust of the ground, having the breath of life breathed into us and becoming celestial living beings. Like they showed you in the movie Lucy, where the light being she evolved into was actually black because that too is a new beginning. I'm gonna show you the image. So here's the image right here that I put in the book. All right, where you have the Gab, earth, all right, Shu, which is the air and the spirit, and the Nut, which is the heaven. All right? That's the allegorical depiction that's happening there. Oh, yeah. Okay. It is all a process, family. We will be taking certain walks together. Yes. However, I need you to always remember that the journey is still about you and your soul, reader. Everything has led us to this moment. Some of you have known me for ages. You found me again. I said we found each other. It is that time again to make all things new. All of the codes have been cracked. The 8th seal is opened. The seal you knew not of, or the seal that you forgot. I remembered it for you and recalled it. There is a 9th seal, and that will be the last seal. We are not there yet. Y'all, if you read my books, you just got to listen. Just listen to what comes through, all right, when them words get to traveling. You ain't never heard about no 8th seal or no 9th seal, so I want to hear it. You ain't heard about it. That came straight through yours truly, all right? So it is that time again to make all things new. All of the codes have been cracked. The 8th seal is opened. The seal you knew not of, or the seal that you forgot. I remembered it for you and recalled it. There is a 9th seal, and that will be the last seal. We are not there yet. We will be taking a journey soon, and that journey will bring us fastly. Did you see what I put there? I'll tell you, I speak in code. That journey will bring us fastly, okay, to the opening of the 9th seal. I will not leave you wondering or wondering. I will show you the way. Do not run from love. That is the unspoken element, also called the 5th element, divinity. Just as they showed you in the movie Lucy, you have the opportunity as a human being to either play as God, all right, and produce as Re or Ra produces, or reproduce, all right. Remember, Re or Ra is the sun, all right, or to become an immortal being, ascending beyond Nasut, all right. Come up here, says the Most High. Hear the call and follow the white rabbit. That rabbit is reminding you to pay attention to the time and to stay in tune, that you may be of the knowing. And I put an image of the scene from the movie The Knowing, or movie Knowing. All right, where you see the white rabbits when the children were standing on this new planet, and the white rabbits were there with them. New heaven and new earth. All right. I say, follow the white rabbit, Alice. I remind you of the question of the caterpillar. Who are you? Who remember that scene? You, who are you? The nigga who was on shrooms, who was smoking? Well, he was literally on a shroom. He was on a mushroom. The caterpillar, right? He said, who are you? Right? And I put a link to Dr. Malachi Z. York, Who and What Are You? Okay? It is time to remember and realize not only what and who you are, but also what and who you can be. At your best, you are love. You can overcome the flesh. You can escape the wonderland. You can escape that all too tempting cave of wonders. They put that in the movie Aladdin. This is the way of the divine. On your journey back home, remember I say everybody has to come home. If you've been listening to me and paying attention, all right, recently. On your journey back home, you will go through many transformations. You will lose friends. Your family may not understand. You can do your best to explain it to them, but they may reject you still, as they have done us, the warners or the war-nors. Remember I told you war-ner. What is the word nor or ner? It gives you light. And war as in the warrior. So warriors of light, warners. All the warners that came through, all of us were warriors of light. Okay, that have come to the people age after age, every generation having one to call their own, but they did not receive us. I didn't say they did not receive them. Okay, I said they did not receive us. If you have read this scroll, you have been called. Now, it's all of you who are on here. Some of you probably didn't read it, but you just heard it. You understand? If you have heard this scroll, you have been called. Remember, many are called, few are chosen, or few are elected. All right? Or few actually go through the electrification process to activate the crown and their halo or their helio, which is their fully established connection to source or the sun, which is Ra, the highest or God. It is time to elect yourself. Take that vote or that boat and send it up through your own being, Black Adam. And remember the movie Black Adam came out. And I told you, go watch that movie Black Adam. They're telling you everything I've been telling you. From the Quran to the Baphomet coming up out of the depths of the earth to the magic. All of that was being explained in Black Adam. All right, they showed you the pentagram on Sabak. I tell you, look at Sabak. Sabati, Sabatia, Sabia, Wusabat, Sabak, rest, to rest, Sabat, don't rest. But if you rest, you have to know what you're doing when you're resting. What is resting? You're going into darkness. All right, I told you, well, I know what Sabat is because that's the Sabbatic goat. And they say Sabat comes out as the Black Adam adversary, okay, which was a comic book before it became a movie. So we are not to give up on the life force that is streaming through us all. Love is what? Life. I know that it can be difficult at times. We are all so young as a creation of beings, and it may not seem like 120 years is enough time to truly figure out why we are here or who we are. Difficult does not mean impossible. All we need is the right keys. Listen, at the right time. Listen, remember in the movie Alice in Wonderland, she came to a tiny door that she needed to get through. She was too big. She drank a potion and she shrunk. She went through that change thinking that if she just altered the size of her being, that would be enough. She ended up realizing that the door was locked. Are you with me? The door was locked. She needed the key. The door spoke to her. If you remember this, go back and watch the Alice in Wonderland movie too. I would tell you how to do that. The door spoke to her at one point and said it was impassable. Not impossible. The door stated that nothing was impossible. It may be tough, but you are prepared. You are built for this journey. Heal and be grateful because you are already grateful or full of greatness. Your accusers are wrong about you. You are worthy. And so how do we love again? The answer is we activate our will and we simply decide to. You may have heard it said before that if you fall down 7 times, you are to get back up 8 times. We may have experienced hurt, pain, trauma, all feelings that came from experiences where we were for sure we were in love, yet we were betrayed. You did not betray yourself. You were truly in love. Remember that love is abundant. This world is trying to convince you that love is scarce. It is not. It only appears so and has appeared so. All right. Your abundant approach to love changes that. Forgive those who hurt you. Get back in that motion of love. There is love out here waiting for you. If you have love in your life, even if it is with family, friends, associates, etc., value that love. It is the greatest gift of all. And do not forget the greatest love of all, which is the love of self. I love you. Talk to you soon. So that was the end of that book. But of course, we started somewhere at the end of it anyway. All right, but the name of this particular book is How to Love Again, which we can get back into it in a second. But the bottom line is, when it came down to it, it's like everybody hurt. You know, when I see and listen and hear people talk about the Tory Lanez situation, all I hear is hurt people. And I'm not saying it in a negative way, like, you know, I'm saying for real, people are hurt. People have been injured. You know, and nobody's giving themselves any type of time to heal. So you want people to fall who ain't even really guilty for what was done to you. And you want people to be hurt, you know, for some shit that was done to you. They didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. So it's like I would tell people to stop yourself from teetering. It's like you go through that journey of self-purification. You have to. And it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a while. But you have to go through that journey. You feel what I'm saying? So the name of this book was called How to Love Again. We can read some more. Anybody got any questions? We can read some more from it. I don't mind. If you could tell by now, if you've been paying attention, even though I sell my books, I will crack that bitch open in a heartbeat and we will read word for word the whole shit. You know what I'm saying? Just so you can still get what's in it. I don't mind that. And until I figure out what's going on with this cash out, I'm not going to be able to sell the books right now. I'll probably have it up and running tomorrow, though. I had to switch over the phones. And I don't even know if I remember my login and all that shit. Figure it out. But then I'll go back to selling it again. But other than that, we vibing out.